Lady up around this town. Lady up around this town. Victory on the battleground. We claim it now. Lady up, lady up. Lady up, lady up.
Welcome to the Lady Up America podcast. I'm Diane Canada, your host. I am so glad you're here today. Welcome back. Took a little bit of a break to design our new studio, so I hope you like it. Also put out a new book, Lady Up America, training Christian moms for the toughest spiritual battleground of our lifetime. It's now available on Amazon or at the ladyupamerica.com website. You can get a signed copy there. If you just hop on there, I'll be happy to send you one personally. But so glad you're here. Y'all, we had a monumental ruling today from the Supreme Court. So we're going to title today's show, Trump is on the Ballot. All right, ladies, welcome back. Okay, so we had a big ruling today from the Supreme Court, and I want to break that down because I know a lot of y'all hear news in sound bites, and you may not be exactly sure what's going on, like what was this ruling about? So we're going to jump right in and get a little bit of clarity on today's ruling and why that means that Trump is on the ballot. Be right back. Okay, ladies. So I know that a lot of you that follow me are kind of checked out when it comes to Trump. I know a lot of you don't like his personality. I know a lot of you feel like, you have mixed emotions around J6, all of that. So I understand that, but let's take his name out of the equation for a minute and let's just insert, I don't know, anybody. Let's insert Santa Claus. Okay. So if Santa Claus was running for president, and all of the states that didn't like Santa Claus or didn't believe in Santa Claus decided that he wasn't a viable candidate and they weren't going to let him be on the ballot, then what that does is that actually affects everybody in all of the other states who maybe do like him and believe in him. It pretty much removes him from the ability to win the presidency. The danger in that is that we could have a tit for tat that would go on for generations. And basically it would just kind of be more of a formal ceremony, if you will, of electing presidents. It wouldn't really mean much. There would be, talk about losing our democracy. That would absolutely crumble our democracy, our democratic republic. So we have to protect what I always call the load-bearing walls of our country. We absolutely cannot tear down those load-bearing walls, because if we do, then the roof of our country caves in, right? So insert Trump back into the equation here for just a second. We cannot get so wrapped up in the personality. We have to look at the policies, okay? It's the policies. I'm going to be talking about this till Election Day, all right? Take your minds and hearts out of the personality. We have to look at the policies. All right, so let's kind of break down what happened today. So Trump, because there are states that are very anti-Trump, they don't like him. They feel like what he did on J6 on his speech incited violence on the Capitol, which again, there's so much coming out about that sort of debunks that. But again, I'm not going to get into that today. But because a state doesn't like him or is threatened by him or doesn't want him back in the presidency, they have come out. So we had, I think it was Colorado, we've had Illinois come forward. We have several states come forward that basically tried to disqualify him from tomorrow's primary election. And I think this is probably why Nikki Haley's been holding on, because I think there was a part of her that thought, well, if he does get disqualified, then I'll just swoop right in, right? Swoop right in there and take that nomination. Thank you very much. So today's ruling from the Supreme Court came down at around 10 a.m. I think it was 9 a.m. Eastern time this morning. And basically what it said was that, no, it overturned the state's request to remove him from the ballot, because even, and this was a 9-0 ruling. In other words, unanimous, whether they were Democrat judges appointed by Obama or whoever, or conservative judges appointed by Trump, they all felt similarly, that this would be not only dangerous but crippling to the future of our country, to our republic. So we have to just give them a round of applause, yay! For standing up for our country, no matter how they feel about a particular candidate. Do y'all know that Trump has not at all been tried for? I don't even think he's been charged with or tried for, certainly not convicted of insurrection. All right. None of that has even gone through any kind of court proceeding. And so for him to be disqualified on the grounds of inciting an insurrection, which is what a lot of these states were claiming, it's it's ridiculous because he's not even been charged with that. No one has, as a matter of fact. There are events around J6 that people are calling trespassing, like even those people who have been arrested already and who are serving jail time. None of them have even been charged with insurrection, to my knowledge. They've all been charged with lesser crimes like trespassing or obstructing government proceedings, things like that. But it's not been insurrection. So you can't disqualify Trump on the grounds of that when he hasn't even been charged with it. Okay. So this is yet another example of how the far left, how the progressive left in our country is just taking hammers to our load bearing walls. If you guys follow me in the app, you know I talk a lot about the 7 founding values. And I found these when I was first building Lady Up America. And let's see if I can remember them all. Rule of law, which is what pertains to this case. These are the 7 conservative values for our country. And I found these from who's now our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. When I came upon these, you guys, they were a game changer for me. Like, they're nonpartisan, and they are, when people say, what is the soul of our nation? These basically represent the pillars that are the soul of our nation. And they're interwoven all throughout our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, everything. So this is what our founding fathers put in place. Like, these were the values that they put in place to help our republic stand. All right. When you're thinking about, renovating a home, what's the first thing that you look for? You look for the load bearing walls. You don't want to take those down, right? If you're going to renovate and demo a house, because you got to make sure that you keep those load bearing walls in place so it holds the roof up and holds the house together. So they are, like I said, rule of law, peace through strength. They are free markets, limited government, individual freedom, human dignity, and there's one more. Oh my gosh, fiscal responsibility. Okay. So those are the 7 that hold up our republic. And I talk about these very, very in great detail, very deeply inside the Lady Up America app. So please go get this. I also put a lot of information about this in the book. But when we look at these 7 load bearing walls, we have to understand that if any one of those comes down, and in this case, rule of law, where the Department of Justice, a lot of these rogue judges who hate Trump, we have this, they're basically being weaponized right now to take him down, to keep him from being able to run. I mean, he's the leading candidate out there against the sitting president, and they're trying to use lawfare basically to keep him off the ballot. So we cannot knock that load bearing wall down over rule of law. All right, so that's what we have to celebrate today. That's what was upheld by the Supreme Court. God can use imperfect people still to move his agenda forward. And if you look at these 7 conservative values of ours, Trump stands for every single one of them. Peace through strength, okay? Look at the border. We had the safest border under him because of his policies. And when he did his speech today after the ruling came down, he was very measured in his response. And he explained to the American people that we do not need Congress to pass anything in order to secure our border. This is one thing that Biden keeps going on and kind of speaking over and over again. He's like, well, I'm waiting on Congress. If Congress would just act. And he's hiding behind that because Congress does not have to do a thing for us to secure our border. All he has to do is reinstate the policies that he made a purposeful effort to go in and undo. When Biden first took office, there were all of these all of these policies in place to secure the border. I heard Mayorkas the other day, our Homeland Security Director. I heard him on a speech shortly after they took office bragging about how they undid all of those policies. And now we have rampant migration, crime under that migration, which I'm going to get into tomorrow. So we've got people from all these countries around us that are emptying out their borders into our country, emptying out their prisons, emptying out their insane asylums, emptying out their undesirables into our country that have no intention of assimilating here. They're just going to come here to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what they're going to come here and do. We're already seeing that. If I didn't have such strong faith like I do, I would be terrified at what's coming down the pike for Americans. There is going to be a price to pay for letting these criminals and these very dangerous people into our country. So peace through strength. A bully, evil, only understands a force greater than itself. And you have to shore up your borders. There is nothing inhumane about that. What's inhumane is what's happening at the border to all of our American people. Not only are the crime that's coming across, but all the children that are being trafficked, all that. I mean, it just breaks my heart. The fentanyl that we're seeing, deaths from fentanyl. I mean, it's just government's number one job is to keep us safe. And this administration has failed miserably at that. Not only have they not kept us safe, they have made us vulnerable to attack. It's impeachable what has happened here. So back to Trump. So he stands for peace through strength. We saw that under his administration, and he's not wavered from it. We look at fiscal responsibility. Okay. Under COVID, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Trump kind of started the inflation because of the bailouts he was giving to Americans. Okay. Let's look at that for a second. We did give payments to Americans during COVID under his administration before the next administration took office. But the difference was we did not have deficits in our fuel production. We did not have such massive deficits. We had the ability to counter that because we were making money, right? Our economy was in a great shape. We were actually producing, energy and being able to sell that to the world. We were taking in money from China. We were taking in money from these NATO countries. The stream of money was coming in to kind of offset what we were paying out. Well, Biden, again, when he took office, he shut all that down. So it stopped the influx of money, and it just sent the money that we had spent then into the stratosphere. And now we see all of this inflation. All right, so fiscal responsibility was our second one. We look at limited government. I mean, obviously, just look at the string of charges that have come against Trump trying to keep him off the ballot. And all of them are so fleeting. They're all going to crumble. We're seeing it little by little. What I love about the Lord is that when evil, when someone uses something evil to try and prevail or to try and cheat or whatever it is, it always turns on itself, right? It always, the end result is always that the truth wins out. Like we look at Fannie Willis in Atlanta, right? They fall in their own traps. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about that where the enemy sets a trap for you that he falls in it himself. And we're seeing this. Letitia James, there's all kinds of stuff coming out about her. Fannie Willis, the prosecutor in Atlanta, has now been tried herself and is going to be probably completely disconnected from the case. She's going to have to step down from the case, and she's going to be very lucky if she doesn't get disbarred because of all of her antics with her boyfriend and using the Trump money that she gave him, paid him, to take Trump down, using all that for vacations. There's all this record of them colluding with the White House. So, there's so much now that's coming out that just crumbles the integrity of the case, it's just crumbling from within. And this ruling today it's crumbled all the other states who are trying to take him off the ballot. And then the Supreme Court's got another ruling that they've got coming up in May about the immunity case for Trump. And that's probably going to completely dismantle the Jack Smith case against him. So it's all crumbling from within, because it does. When you're on the side of truth, you're on the side of right, then the enemy tactics never prosper, right? No weapon formed against us shall prosper. So I love seeing that the load-bearing walls that we still have in place in our country are still, they might be barely hanging on because we've got people taking hammers at them, but they're still intact. And this was a definitely a case of that today. So happy to see that. I won't go through all the 7. We'll, with all the other load-bearing walls, all the other 7 values. But if you look at Trump's policies, not his personality, but you look at his policies, you will see that he stands for every single one of those. I could take you down every path and share with you his policies, and you would see that he stands for that. So the only one that I will say that worries me a little bit with Trump, and I understand where he's coming from, on human dignity. We look at that 7th, one of those 7 founding values, human dignity, which is so important to me because that's where abortion would fall. Trump, he is pro-life, but his kind of viewpoint about it is that in order to get elected, because abortion is still such a hot topic in the minds of so many women, if he takes too hard of a stand on abortion, he risks not getting elected at all. God determines a child's value, and that happens at conception. At conception, the entire DNA for that child is written. And that child, as nature is allowed to take its course and that child develops, it will become a baby, and it will, but it has rights the minute that it is conceived, in my opinion. It's not just my opinion, that's God's opinion. But at any rate, when it comes to government, I understand where Trump's coming from. I don't agree with it. I think we have to take a hard stand on abortion, but he's saying that if he does that, he won't get elected. And we just still have work to do. This is the work of the church. We have to show women. We have to win them to our viewpoint on this. We have to win them to God's viewpoint when it comes to conception. God says he knit us together in our mother's womb. He knew us before the foundations of the earth. It's his life to give and his life to take. And so, again, I could talk all day on that, but that's the one area on that one load-bearing wall on human dignity that Trump and I just, that's why I was kind of leaning DeSantis, because DeSantis was taking a strong stand on that. He's about the heartbeat bill. He's about conception. But I get it. I know this is politics. I don't have to agree with everything. But what I will say is that if we do not put Trump back in office in November, if a lot of people sit home and say, well, I just can't stomach voting for him, so I'm just not going to vote at all. If we do that, we're going to hand over our country to another 4 years of Biden. And I want to tell you, or whoever they put in, I don't think it's going to be Biden, but whoever they put in, we're just handing our country, our children, our grandchildren, we're handing them over to Marxism. So I am begging you, don't look at personality, look at policies. That is what is going to move our country forward. Do not sit home. Make sure you're registered to vote. I'm going to be begging and pleading until Election Day with you guys. We cannot afford any more of this administration. Look at how crazy things have gotten just in the last 3 years with him, with Biden. I mean, look at the state of our country. I've never seen a faster decline. I never thought we would be saying the things that we're saying in our nation, and we just cannot hand it over. So, parting words, kind of lingering questions on this is when you're with your friend groups, or even you're just kind of trying to sort this through, process this yourself. The lingering question I would leave you with is when people say, oh, I hate Trump, I'm sitting home. Oh, I hate Trump, I'm just not going to go vote this year. The lingering question would be, if you could separate his personality from his policy, which policies do you not agree with? Which policies of his would compel you to stay home versus handing our country over to Marxism? We are this close, you guys. This close. So, is he a perfect man? No. Is he a perfect candidate? No. But this administration is, surely you can see they are pulling out every possible stop that they can to get him off the ballot. The Supreme Court slapped that down today. So they're going to have to get creative and come up with something else. If all these cases continue to fall apart, then they'll come up with something else. But you can see how they're overplaying their hand. You can see the desperation. You can see that this is not sustainable. Like, our country is going to crash and burn if we do not, as the church, we do not step up. All right. I know you're going to step up. You're going to step up, right? Right? You're going to go vote. I know you are. Okay. All right. Let me do our parting prayer, and then I'll let you go. Father God, thank you so very, very much for this day, Lord. Thank you for the Supreme Court coming through on the side of right today, Lord, and upholding the load-bearing wall, the rule of law today, Lord. Thank you for that. Father, I ask for supernatural ability to influence over every precious woman watching this podcast today or listening. Lord, give her the ability to make impact with the people that she comes in contact with, Lord. And you speak through us. You just give us the words, Lord, and help us to compel, to galvanize other women to step up for our children and our grandchildren. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. We thank you for your wisdom. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I know. Okay. I know it's hard. Pick your hard, though. Is it hard to go vote for him but still put the good policies in place? Or is it hard to watch our children and our grandchildren go over the cliff down into Marxism? Pick your hard. I'll see you tomorrow. Lady up.
Lady up around this town. Lady up around this town. Victory on the back.